We have done it. Sacrifices were made, though, Van Richten. But they were made for a good reason. And no war is won without casualties. He will be honored in the tales that will be told about our victory. The county thought that his darkness would be stronger than our light, than Lathander's light. He thought that we would be no challenge to his powers. How mistaken he was. Now we must just find him and put him into the ground one final time, annihilate his soul and release this land in the name of the Morning Lord. I have no doubts anymore. I am justified, more than justified. I am holy. I, Dawnbringer Roman, will execute my God's command, and I will make the sun rise again over Barovia. This is Red Moon Role-Playing.
The tunnel goes on for some time in the dark. The scent, dust, and death fills your nostrils as you descend deep into the bowels of Castle Ravenloft.
We are finally here, Roshek. Now he awaits us. Did you ever dream that we would be able to get this far?
I saw it happen from the start. But then again, I also saw myself using my old longsword getting here.
Yes, well, we will make this happen now. We will succeed where others have failed. Lathander is with us. I know that now, and you see me looking exuberant and, yes, stupid grin on my face.
Yeah, that we will. And we'll get you out of this realm.
Yes, of course, we will leave here. We'll finally be able to leave here.
So the tunnel extends on for quite some time. What do you do?
I'm, getting annoyed. How long is this going on?
Yes. Well, it is leading further down, so we must be heading in the right direction. I suppose he wouldn't want to have his chamber too close to everything else.
I lower my pace a little to stay vigilant of the surroundings and also to feel if Esmeralda is starting to make her way towards us using the ring.
She hasn't come quite yet, but you think you feel some movement right about now. And then do you just continue to walk forwards? You're being vigilant, but vigilant for what?
I'm looking out for any sort of traps, using my dark vision.
Make me a perception check.
21.
You are just about to take a few more steps forward when you notice on the floor directly beneath you a bit of a marking. A flagstone, if you will, seems very pronounced all of a sudden in this dark hallway.
And I hold out a hand towards Roman. Stop.
And I stop.
Move around that one.
Yes, I do as he says. Suddenly struck with some worry. Of course, there would be traps here. Of course.
And you very carefully move around this flagstone and then continue for a few more seconds. It's then that you pick out in your dark vision, Roshek, something approaching from the north. A figure is ever so slowly walking towards you, leaning against the wall slightly as it does. What do you do?
I call forth the light of the sword. Who's there? I say in a low growl.
Your sword illuminates forwards, and the figure holds up its hand and hisses in pain and retreats a few steps. It remarks, "Ah, you goddamn bastards. I hope you burn in hell. At least tell me why. Why?"
And do I recognize it?
It sounds a bit strained, but yes, you do. It is the voice of Ismark.
Oh, Ismark. I say. I move up closer to get a look at him. I extend the light to make it a little bit brighter.
And he retreats back even further from the light, hissing as burning seems to happen as you go closer to him. Why? Why did you betray us?
So they got you after all, didn't they?
But we did not betray you, friend. No, we did not. But I see what has happened to you. I'm afraid there's no coming back from that.
I am aware of that, but do not lie to me. You didn't betray us. Tell me, what do you call coming to this hell? Irina waiting for you, me waiting for you, and you didn't even show up. Even the goddamn devil was surprised.
Well, how are we supposed to know? All we knew that church wasn't safe for her. Just like she thought, we tried to take her to the only place that we would know was safe, with us. And then we was invited, of course, to the wedding, but you know we couldn't attend to his ceremonies. You know this was all a game that he played. Why did you even think that we would play it right into his hands?
Because I thought you were good people. It didn't matter that it was a trap. It didn't matter. You could have done something. You've come so far. You could have saved her. And instead, she's dead. She is dead and gone. And he starts to weep a little.
And I let go of some of the light from the blade, feeling a bit of pity. I say, well, there was no other way. We were not powerful enough to stop him then. If we had shown up, it wouldn't have made a difference. She might have carried on her life as what you have now become and what the devil was before. It's not a real life. There's nothing we could have done.
You cannot save everyone, Ismark. In every struggle, there are sacrifices, but it is for the greater good. We will free this land. Don't you see? All that fighting that you did to protect your village. That is going on throughout this entire land, and they're all fighting the same foe. The foe that we are now liberating this land from. And yes, there were unfortunate sacrifices. Not everyone has made it through, but we will succeed at the end of the day, because Lathander has deemed that that is what will happen, and we are simply executing his commands, all for the glory of the Morning Lord.
He begins to step forwards, burning once again in the light, starting to try and resist it a little, although he can't. Oh, wonderful words, priest. But tell me, who exactly is going to live in your saved land? My village, barely anything. He's told us of what happened in Wallachia and Kresik. Where exactly are the people you're saving, priest? From where I'm standing, the only people you've saved are yourselves.
I hold down my blade, I say, let us pass, Burgomaster. We have to finish this.
Yes, we have to start somewhere. If that means saving ourselves, to save whoever's left, then that is what we shall do. There is no winning in this land. There is only prevailing with less losses. And I'm afraid that you have become a casualty of war. And I start moving towards him.
He growls low, remarking, "Even if I wanted to stand aside, you know I'm not able to. God damn you. If only someone else had come to help us." And he snarls and readies to lunge at you, Roman. What do you do?
I hold up my holy symbol, and I conduct the ritual to turn undead.
And your holy symbol flares with light, and immediately he begins to retreat, moving forwards into the dark, into the tunnel that seems to finally now be opening to something. At this point, Esmeralda comes to your side. "My friends, what's wrong? One of them!" And she draws her weapon.
Yes. Ismark, a man that we met before. He has been taken by the disease, by the curse. Yes, the same curse that afflicts all these poor creatures, including the Count.
I feel a sting of bitterness at this end of his life. We still don't know completely what's happened to Irina. I sort of wish I could have fought for them. But now there's no time to waste. I just give a small nod towards Esmeralda as she comes up, and then I start moving after the creature and into the hall.
Esmeralda nods quickly, remarking, "Yes, of course, do not worry. I will slay him if he comes close. Come, let us move forwards." And you move forward into this new chamber. Buried deep beneath the keep of Ravenloft lie ancient catacombs, with arched ceilings supported by wide, hollow columns that double as crypts. Cobwebs hang limp in the musty air. A thick fog clings to the floor, which is covered in putrid waste. The black ceiling above seems to be moving.
I hold my blade out and to shine some light on the floor. Bat shit, I say.
Yes. Those creatures are everywhere here, as pets, undoubtedly. Let us try to not disturb them. There's many of them, I say.
Indeed, as you light the area more, you indeed see that the ceiling is not really moving. It simply contains hundreds and hundreds of bats, looking a little disturbed by your presence, but otherwise more trying to avoid your light than be hostile. Looking forwards, you are now in the catacombs. They extend for some ways from where you are right now to the east and also to the south. Every 5 feet or so are these sort of pillars that seem to contain little square stone slabs. Crypts, you believe. Esmeralda shines her torch around and frowns. Well, which way do you think we should go first?
I look around and there was something. One of these ghostly critters told me there would be something for me here. I look around for signs of anything that could be from them.
You'd maybe take a step forward and just read an inscription on one of these stone slabs just above it.
Yes.
It reads, "Lady Isolde Younk, Isolde the Incredible, purveyor of antiques and imports."
A tomb. And, is it possible to open these tombs?
You believe so. You'd have to push on this stone slab, but you're pretty sure that the stone slab, when pushed aside, would reveal the opening to this tomb.
I'm curious. I do so.
Roll me a strength athletics check.
27.
And after a minute or two, you are able to grind forward this stone slab just a little, at least enough to sort of get in, or at least have a look inside. Your dark vision means you see inside reasonably quickly, even though Esmeralda does poke her head forward a little with her torch. And you see inside this tomb a skeleton draped in rags lying atop a marble slab in the centre of the crypt. Piled all around it, covering the floor, are heaps of baskets, braziers, bundled tapestries, candlesticks, chairs, chests, cooking utensils, cressets, curtain rods, decanters, dishes, jugs, lamps, scroll cases, tankards, and tinder boxes. None of this looks valuable at all.
What a load of rubbish. I start looking around at the other tombs, quickly sort of going over the inscriptions.
You do your best to quickly look over a few, but obviously to look over more you would have to keep walking for quite a while. They are 5 feet apart. But the nearest ones, one right next to this one, seems to read Artista de Slop, Court Ceiling Painter. And then another one nearby doesn't actually have a name at first, but you kind of look a little closer and it seems a bit more faded than some of the others. This one reads, Andorovich the Terrible, what the blood of 100 wars did not do, the spurn of a woman accomplished. The stone door of this crypt is actually open a bit, and if you looked inside, you'd see some things in the dark. Maybe a skeleton, maybe some rusted armour on a grey slab.
Nothing more. Nothing of value.
No. It doesn't look like it from this angle. The armour looks rusted.
Well, this'll take forever, I say. And, I start moving down the hole, trying to throw brief glances at trying to find anything of interest, or maybe something that's tied to the title of the ghost creature that I met, the harp fellow.
Yes. Esmeralda nods and remarks, Yes, I'm afraid we do not have time to search every single one of these tombs. I am pretty sure someone like the Count would not be in one of these small ones. He will be in an important-looking one. After all, I believe his family would have been buried down here as well. What say you, Roman?
Yes, you are right. It must be one of the larger ones, perhaps in the center of all of this. I'm not certain, but yes, it is not one of these smaller ones, that much is for certain. Let us keep on moving and make our way over there. We must not allow him too much time to rest. Who knows what strength he can come back with.
So you proceed to follow Roshek, who's heading in the southern direction. Again, you move along these quiet tombs. In the distance, very far behind you, you can hear a clanking coming, very slow. Esmeralda frowns a little and remarks, I am afraid I don't think that particular individual was undead. My wards will not have stopped him.
Well, if it is just that one, perhaps we are not without a chance, but let us try to ensure that it doesn't come to that. Let us find what we're looking for.
Indeed, as you move further through, Roshek, looking around as you do, you notice to your right a tomb in the right-hand wall all of a sudden. This is labelled King Trotsky, the free-faced king. And then just a little further down on your left, Piddlewick, Fool of Dorofina.
That's the one. That's the one, Piddlewick. That was what he's called himself. And I ran over to the tomb.
You run over to it and find yourself face to face with another stone slab.
And I say, help me out here. And I start pushing it open.
Yes, and I come over to help Piddlewick. Yes, that was the name. I recognize it as well.
Roll a strength athletics check with advantage.
22.
And once again, you manage to ease open this musty old crypt. For a moment, you cough a little as grave dust and rot assail your nostrils. But you look in and see a small chamber with a very small skeleton, wearing the remains of a fool's costume, lying atop a stumpy marble slab in the centre of the crypt.
How morbid. Buried in his costume.
And you see, just below the costume, a little wooden box.
What's this? And I pick it up.
You pick up the wooden box. Do you open it?
I turn it in my hand and... Yes, I open it.
You hear, somewhere very far away, a little chuckle. A friendly chuckle, though. And you open the box, and you see a deck of cards.
Cards? I hold them up. I take them out and...
You gently take out just one card and just sort of peek at it. You feel a little bit of a weird vibration in your hand. Not necessarily hostile, just something kind of happening, but also kind of not. And the card you have drawn has a picture of a beholder on it, a very fearsome beast.
Have I ever seen something like that before?
You would definitely have heard or seen the imagery of beholders. They are a very famous monster. A hideous floating mouth with eyes coming out of its head on loads of tendrils. They are very dangerous beings, normally found in the deep dungeons of the world.
What's this supposed to do, I say, and there must be some sort of magical item.
Esmeralda pokes over and remarks, "Maybe, but I haven't seen one of those before."
And there's a feel to it, is there?
Yes, there's a bit of a tingling sensation when you actually were taking the card out.
I see. Maybe it'll... What, do I see the card that's below it?
Below it would be a picture of a giant. So the next card.
Oh, this is interesting. I put them back into the box and I take it with me.
Very well, and the thrumming goes away as soon as you put it back in, and you now have a deck of cards. Esmeralda frowns a little at this and remarks, "No offense, but I do not see this being that useful. Perhaps we should keep going?"
There's something magical about this deck of cards, I say, and I put it in my pouch.
It is not unheard of that decks of cards have great magic power. Some can even change the world. I have read of such things, taking control of entire cities even.
Maybe that's what it will do. Though I doubt they would bury it with a fool. Thank you, Piddlewick, I say, and I start moving again.
And you continue moving down to the catacombs. There's a bit of a break now to your right. A big spiral staircase seems to be going up. The catacombs then continue in the direction you're going, and of course continue to the east as well. What do you do?
Now where?
Esmeralda remarks, "Perhaps we should keep going. See if we can at least find one end of these catacombs. That could be a good way of getting our bearings."
Yes.
I suppose. Yeah, let's stick to the path.
Indeed, let's.
Again, you continue down more crypts, the ones directly to your left and right, this time reading to your left, Stefan Grigorovich, first counselor to King Barov von Azurovich. And then to your right, Intre Sikvalu, he spurned wealth for the knowledge he could take to heaven.
He spurned his wealth for the knowledge he could take to heaven. What's this, an advisor of the Count?
Yes.
I wonder if he'd be on his side. We must be getting close.
Keep in mind it said King Barov von Azurovich.
Oh. So, it's not Strahd then?
No, it is another member of the family, it seems. And what do you think that your crypt will read, Roshik?
I don't know.
No. Perhaps it's best to not think of such things. We will not die, right? We will live forever.
Yeah. Just keep moving, perhaps.
Yes, let's. And I find myself still in this weirdly jovial mood, in spite of where we are, and in spite of everything that has happened. Feeling that everything is about to go just as it was meant to, has made me happy. Happier than I have been for a very, very long time.
And funnily enough, just as you're thinking this, you seem to be coming to the end of the catacombs, or at least the way south is finally turning into a wall, and then the rest of the way would be east from here. But you just look to your right, Roman, and this time see in a crypt where the door once again is slightly ajar, or rather the stone slab. Saint Markovia. Dead for all time.
And this catches my attention immediately, of course. Markovia, dead for all time. But I must see what this is. Roshek, this is probably a horrible idea, but if that is Saint Markovia, then that is connected to me, and it is connected to my family. I must see what is there.
Probably to the part you're supposed to be playing in all this, I say. And I let him go in. I stand in the doorway, keeping watch both sides.
Do you simply step forward into this tomb, Roman?
I first stand outside it, and I try to get a feel for the place. What kind of energies are there here? Is this a holy place? Is this a defiled place? How do I feel about it?
You can smell the smell of roses coming from within the crypt.
Roses. There's something about this place.
Just go in already.
No. Dead for all time? Who would write something like that? This is a trap. No, let us move on.
Esmeralda comes to your side and nods, remarking, I mean, you say who would write that? Obviously, she was buried here by Strahd, so he would have written it or someone in his employ.
Yes. And likely have added a number of traps of something. I don't know. I have a bad feeling. I don't know why, but there's something about that smell. It is too inviting.
I lean in now to smell the smell and have a look inside, using my dark vision to try to discern any details or what can be in there.
Seeing forward a little better than Roman can see, you again see a room that looks very similar to the others you've been seeing. Something is on a slab, a figure lying there. You can't see many other items in the room.
I poke in my sword in the room to light it up.
You poke in your sword across the entranceway and light up the tomb, illuminating the body. Covered in rags, but still with a few shreds of robes bearing the symbol of Lathander.
These are your symbols. At least she seems to have gotten a proper burial place.
I'm glad to hear that. Well, let us go.
And I pull back my sword and start moving up the corridor again.
So you continue onwards, turning now to your left to continue down into these catacombs. You start to see a bit of an opening coming up on the right with your dark vision, something that looks like a slightly larger area. Also, finally, briefly to your left, just a few more tombs. The closest one reading Baron Igles Druf. And then beyond that, simply the words, we knew him only by his wealth. Esmeralda's already moving on. What do you two do?
I remark, might be gold in that one. Bow needs gold, right? And I follow Esmeralda.
That is not why we're here. We're not here for the gold. We're here for the glory. The glory of the Morning Lord.
And finally, on your right, you come before a chamber. This chamber is blocked off by a portcullis and is in a little archway. But beyond, with your dark vision, Roshek, you can see what looks like a significantly larger chamber than any of these smaller crypts.
This might be it.
Yes, it certainly looks ostentatious enough. Perhaps this is where he has chosen to rest.
Yeah, That must be it.
Esmeralda draws her weapon and starts to step forwards, then looks to the pair of you. Very well, who wants to have a go at that portcullis?
I move up, feeling sure of myself.
As you step forward, can you make me a reflex saving throw?
17.
You step forward, and just in time, feel a click beneath you. You raise your foot and step forward, as spikes appear from the ground and sort of shoot up in a sort of shunk type fashion. They retract to the ground almost instantly now you've stepped over it towards the grate.
Why didn't I keep my eyes peeled? I look around to see if there is any other sign or traps.
Roll me a perception check.
12.
You can't really see. Unlike before, there are no indentations here. You walked straight forwards to the grate, and those spikes came up. You seem to be fine now you're directly at the portcullis, but no one else can step through for the moment now, while you're standing in this spot.
I look back at the other two, breaking a sweat, and I turn back to the portcullis and I try to push it open.
Roll me a strength athletics check.
26.
You get down, and you just start lifting this portcullis. It is extremely rusted and extremely difficult to move, implying perhaps it has not been moved for a very long time indeed. Yet you persevere, and you actually are able to lift up this portcullis, sweating and straining as you do, but once it is lifted, it stays put.
I feel the click, and it's in place. But can they move past me, or is it too narrow if I still stand there?
It will be too narrow if you stand there. You'll have to step forwards into the chamber that now is above before you. Your dark vision will shortly be adjusting to the light.
I do that. I step in.
And you come into a large chamber, which you can just about make out the details in, Roshek. Black marble steps descend to a dark tomb that has a vaulted ceiling 30 feet overhead. There is an essence of unease in the very air itself. The smell of freshly turned earth is here, settled into the dirt on the floor. Far in front of you is a shining black coffin of finely waxed wood. The coffin's fittings are of a brilliant brass, and the lid is closed. Also, you make out just to the right what looks like an old cabinet and a few chests.
So this is a resting place. I move warily in, looking to my comrades, see if they are coming along.
Yes, and I'm following after Roshek. Now we are close.
Indeed, and you step in, Roman, and light the area, I imagine, with a guiding light. If you don't, Esmeralda will light it simply with her torch. And you are now in this chamber with this coffin in front of you. And this little side area with the chests and the cabinet. And it's a bit weird, Roman, because you almost hear a little bit of a whispering sound coming from the cabinet. What do you do?
This is an important place. We must be able to see everything in here. I call forth daylight in this room, the small sun, lighting everything up in a 60 feet sphere.
And the entire room is brightly illuminated, almost bright as the day. You see before you the black coffin on a little raised up area, and you see this cabinet and these chests on the right-hand side, and you see about the tomb bones and dirt and the smell of dried blood in the air. You also at this point hear, still far off but starting to increase in speed, that clanking. Clank, 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 clank.
Time is of the essence, I say, and I move up towards this black coffin in the center.
Yes, and I stand ready.
Indeed, and it's weird because as you stand ready, you just hear then a whisper in your ear, Roman, something indistinct. It's coming from the cabinet. Roshek, your sword, is it out?
Yes.
You also feel something from your sword. Anticipation, but then suddenly a sort of feeling of close, close, close. Yes, turn round, close, close.
Turn around. Close. And I try to follow where it's pointing me.
You turn and are facing this cabinet with the chests in front of it.
There's something here, and I move up to it.
You move up to the cabinet. What do?
I open it.
You open the cabinet, and you see before you, placed very delicately on a stand, a black shard of glass with strange patterns writhing about its surface and mysterious black substance sort of seeming to shimmer around inside it. The whispering becomes much louder, and your sword, Roshek, grows excited. You can feel its anticipation. Vengeance! Vengeance! Soon vengeance!
And I hold out my sword towards this crystal, or whatever it is, and I poke at it.
You poke at the crystal and hear a sharp intake in the whispering, followed by a sort of bellowing whisper. You can't really make out what it's saying, Roshek, but you, Roman, can. No! Damn you, child of Markovia! Damn you!
Yes. Let us destroy that thing, Roshek. Smash it, will you?
No! And this voice, bargain, deal, I will do whatever you wish. Just do not bind me again. Do not bind me with your blood, Markovia.
Lathander has decided that it is time for you to take a good long rest and never wake up from that again. Roshek, do the deed.
I become a bit unsure because I don't know what he's talking about, because all I heard was a strange noise. But then I decide it's time to stop hesitating. I draw back and I strike at it with the sword where it stands.
And your sword makes a resounding clang off this crystal thing, and cracks start to form in it. You withdraw. Your sword is livid with anticipation. Vengeance finally. Justice delivered. My purpose here.
And I strike again.
And again you strike, even more damage taking place. Esmeralda is looking concerned. She's looking between the crystal, looking at the coffin, and then looking to the entrance. You haven't noticed till now, the clanging is getting much closer.
And I say to Esmeralda, go, the coffin! And I strike it one more time.
And you smash this crystal into smithereens. It breaks. Black mist and fog come out of it. And for a moment you see the silhouette of a skeletal being with ragged clothes. He moves forward, his apparition clutching at you, Roman. I Kazan curse you! I curse you! And in a billowing of smoke and fury, dissipation, and then silence. Aside, of course, from the clanging right outside the entrance.
Then that takes care of him. But there's yet someone remaining, is there not? The coffin.
I twist around and I start moving towards the coffin again.
Indeed, and Esmeralda throws open the lid to reveal Count Strahd von Zorevich, looking much like a corpse.
And the minute I see that corpse there, I unleash a guiding bolt upon it. I want to put holy fire to this body.
And your guiding bolt strikes at the coffin, setting it ablaze. The Count leaps up immediately, half of him on fire. He smiles. Esmeralda remarks, No! No, you fool! A stake to his heart! What are you doing?
And realizing that of course she's completely right, I grasp for the steak that we have brought, and I start moving, panicked. How could I have been so foolish? And I go to try to attack the Count.
Roshek, what are you doing? You were just in front of the coffin that has now exploded in a flurry of light and sound. However, this hasn't diminished the Count, but rather set him right up. He looks like a man on fire, with power and energy, and he turns to you and moves to strike. What do you do?
As the surprise of the coffin suddenly bursting, I first raise my shield. I see him flying up in the air, and I go to try and pummel him back down to the ground.
And you go, but he catches your wrist. And for a moment, there is a battle of wills going on here. Esmeralda backs away looking confused. She seems ready to raise her stake, and suddenly is cut off, as from behind, a large armoured figure bursts into the room, its greatsword slashing into her side, and forcing her back. She yelps out in surprise and pain. Roman, what do you do?
This is the time. It must happen now. I move to stake the Count. And I shall attack using my inspiration and hope for the best.
Roll a strength check.
I roll 2 1s.
You move forward, stake ready, and move to strike at the Count, but suddenly he just smacks you in the face. It doesn't feel like a slap, it feels like a mace, and you sort of fly back, surprised by this sudden assault, taking 20 damage. He is sitting upright. The flames of your attack are starting to die down a little, but the coffin is still smouldering. You have been hit back. Roshek, you feel his grip on you weaken a little. You have your blade in hand, and you still have some stakes in your belt, I believe. What do you do?
Well, the grip he has on my hand, I try to grip him back, countering his grip, and hold him still as I reach for a stake with my other hand to shove it into his breast.
Make a strength check.
Just strength?
Yes. Oh, strength athletics.
25.
And you surge forward with strength. You feel him resist. You feel his power immense. But then you see your sword glowing bright. His flesh is practically melting off his face. You can almost see the skull beneath. His eyes are wild. He is no longer a man. He's just a monster, staring at you with defiance and anger, but you are pushing him back. You are pushing him back, and you are reaching for your stake and getting it ready to plunge into him. You do, however, look up and see Esmeralda fighting this armoured foe. She smacks her sword against it, taking off one of its breastplates, but it's still standing. She's in a very perilous situation. What do you do?
No time to hesitate. And I slip out the stake from my belt and goes for a lunge straight towards his heart.
And your stake plunges into his heart. There's a convulsion for a moment. The very force of your blow knocks him back into that coffin, still half of it smouldering with fire now, although simmering a little with all the earth inside it. The force behind the Count sort of withers for a moment. You're staring straight into his bestial, decaying face. And he smiles. And he whispers in a low, crackling, dying voice. Yes, Roshek. If it could have been anyone, it would have been you. And the laugh turns to dust, and the body before you begins to disintegrate into dust.
And I swing about towards the armor.
And it turns onto you, raising its greatsword to cleave down on your head. And then it stops. And then falls into pieces on the floor.
And I've leaned back upon the altar where the coffin stands, and I catch my breath.
I get up, having been thrown back, stake still in hand, seeing the dust before me. Somehow disappointed, yet at the same time filled with joy. We did it, Roshek. We did it!
Its magic is breaking apart. So what now?
Esmeralda gets to her feet. She's taken a wound, but she's still stable. Well, I don't know. First we should... And her speech is interrupted as you hear a low rumbling coming from far away. The rumbling then comes closer. You look above. The ceiling is starting to shake. Dust is starting to fall down. You hear the sound outside of something stirring. The bats. The bats are stirring.
His magic. His magic. What was held this place together? Quick! We must get to the portal chamber.
Yes, we must. Go now.
Very well, all three of you run out of the chamber. You are greeted by the sight of thousands of bats flying past you, flying through your hair, flying past your skin, getting in your way. But they are not trying to attack you, they are fleeing. The very catacombs are shaking around you. The castle is about to come down. You begin running from the catacombs. What do? The bats above you are flying in panic.
I look at the bats for a second. Are they flying up through their own sort of exits?
They seem to be heading towards the east. When you look to the east, you remember there was that staircase.
Maybe that's the way out.
It might be. But would we have time? The portal room, surely it must be the best way.
Huh.
Esmeralda simply leads the way with her torch, remarking, "We do not have time for discussion! Just move!"
I hurry towards the portal chamber then.
Yes, me too.
You begin running back to your memory to, I suppose you're trying to find the entrance to the catacombs again, yes?
Yes.
You begin darting through the tombs. The bats are starting to filter out. They obviously have a way out, but then they do have wings. You do not. The ground is shaking beneath you. Steam seems to be coming from somewhere. It kind of erupts in front of you for a moment, but you're able to duck behind it. You turn just in time to see that staircase. And just if you're thinking about it, Roshik, you then see stones crumble down and completely blockade that area.
Oh, cursed. What? I look around. What other options have we?
Again, straight forwards towards that entrance.
Right. That's where we go then.
Yes.
I dart towards it.
Make me both athletics checks.
16.
12.
Roman, you dart ahead of Roshik, who seems to be flagging behind just a little. You are almost at the entrance to the catacombs. Esmeralda is keeping pace as well. Roshik, for a moment you stop, and as soon as you stop, you just feel something hit you in the head. It's not very big, luckily. You only take 5 bludgeoning damage from the head wound, but you are still able to keep going.
I pull it together and I start heading after them, trying to keep my breath. It's been lots of fighting and my body is starting to take the toll.
Roman, you lead the way, falling back down that hallway practically with your speed. I'm assuming you're running as fast as you can, yes?
Yes, this is a panicked run. We just need to get out of here. We just need to make it to wherever we can get. This whole place is coming down.
Roll me a reflex saving throw.
13.
And you stumble forwards, unfortunately, forgetting, it seems, that tile from before. And this time you step straight on it. You quickly stumble past, you're running very fast, but you're not able to quickly avoid a scything blade that just nicks at your foot, right in the heel, doing 10 slashing damage.
I scream and I continue running.
Esmeralda notices this and luckily ducks around it. And of course, Roshek, you would also notice and duck around. And all 3 of you keep stumbling, keep running. And you're almost there. And you come out into the portal room. And Roman, you're first, just in time to see an open portal starting to close. As the portal starts to close, you make out someone on the other side. A gentleman you've met before.
Who is it?
Escher. The man from upstairs. Escher. And you see on his shoulder a small little marionette in a jester's outfit. He turns to face you, as does the little Piddlewick, and he smiles and he waves. Oh, thank you, friends. You did very well. Very well indeed. Good luck getting out. The portal is already closing. You can just about see his face. What do you do?
Well, there's no way into that one. We must trigger another one. I start looking for the cabinets. There was powder of some kind, something.
The gems. Just take any gems. Put it in there.
Yes. Gems. Yes, gems it was.
Roshek, you also came in just in time to see this image. What do you do?
Wait! Help us!
And the portal closes.
The gems! And I make towards the cupboard.
As you do so, you hear a cracking sound. You turn, Roman, and see the hourglass above this portal area has a crack in it now. What do you do?
A crack in it? Does that mean that the sand is coming out?
Yes. There's now another crack, and another. The whole chamber shudders violently, and suddenly cracks appear all over this hourglass. The sand is falling out all over the place.
I'm not sure that we will be able to use this again.
I'm not caring, I'm trying to grab a gem and throw it into the brazier.
You grab a gem and throw it into the brazier, which lights with fire. You see a weird shimmering, and then the whole room explodes in light. The hourglass completely shatters at your action, Roshek. The thing in the middle, whatever it was, dissipates. You're all disorientated for a few moments, and then you are standing in a room with a ruined portal, and the shaking is continuing.
Damn it. Where can we go now? What exits do we have left? Is it the...
Esmeralda is already starting to clamber up the stairs. We must go all the way back up, all the way up to the drawbridge. Quickly, quickly!
I draw in a big breath, trying to steel myself. And I start running after her.
Me as well. I keep muttering a prayer to Lathander. Surely he will save us.
And you begin to climb your way back up those stairs. You know the way now, but everything is starting to tilt back and forth. Again, shudders. You come back into that office. You charge through the bone chamber. You see a figure trapped underneath a massive skeletal statue, wailing in despair. My precious things! My precious things! Damn you! Damn you! What do you do?
Get out of here, you foolish creature, if you care about your life! And I run by.
As you run by, you notice he cannot. He is trapped underneath the statue. All he can do is sort of scratch and wail at you.
I don't care. I'm gonna keep moving.
Yes, and I follow.
Where do you move to? Do you move to the south, which would lead you back to that chamber with the stairs that lead up to the throne room, or do you try and go back to that other hallway? That would perhaps be quicker.
I try the other hallway. This would lead us to the stairs up.
Indeed, and you find that familiar hallway, once again with that small little corridor and the stairs that indeed led up. Esmeralda's right behind you. Roman has flagged a bit. Roshek's taken the lead. What do you do?
Just continue following. Get out, get out, get out.
Roshek, what do you do? Just dart down the corridor?
I think for a second. The trap. But there's no time. I raise my shield, trying to brace for anything that would come if it activates now, and I try to make it through.
Roll me... nothing. because you barge through and are fine. Esmeralda quickly passes you, Roman. She's having a sudden second wind and goes through straight after as well. It's only you remaining. You notice Roshek kind of just burst forward into the hallway. She paused for a moment and did a little leap. What do you do?
I quickly, realizing that I might trigger this trap, I quickly cast Cure Wounds on myself because I'm badly hurt, and then I try to move ahead.
Indeed. And you burst forward with speed. Roll me a dexterity check.
Yes. And I return 16 hit points, and that is a 3.
You move forwards, but you stumble just at the last second. As you stumble sort of forwards and fall a little, you just are able to get out of the way, as some sort of contraption seems to activate directly below you, but it doesn't quite activate correctly, or you hear a weird clanking sound. Something is wrong. You see half a portcullis sort of shoot up, and then shoot back down. Still grazed you a little, though. You do take 5 bludgeoning damage. You sort of tumble safely away from whatever's going on, but still a little bit of a scrape.
And I continue.
And Esmeralda helps you up, and all 3 of you begin clambering once again up those stairs. Clamber. You find yourself again back on the main floor. You come out. You remember where you are. The main hallway is just to your right. The piano room to the north. What do you do?
This way, and I start making towards where we came from before.
You stop as a sudden tremor fills the area, and the floor starts to open. A large crack starts to separate you from your goal. What do you do?
I try to leap over it.
Make me a strength athletics or dexterity acrobatics check.
18.
You jump across, landing swiftly on the other side. Esmeralda sort of does likewise, quickly jumping over, though she does stumble a bit and just sort of catches her heel, but she's fine. She's just taken a little bit of damage. Roman, it's your turn.
And I try to do the same. And I roll 20.
And you clear the opening crevice that seems to be forming in the floor. You can almost, as you jumped over, see the bottom of the castle. Well, bottom floors at least. You look around and see all about you on the ceilings and walls, figures moving. But they have no more time for you. They are all clambering like rats escaping from a sinking ship, clambering anywhere to get to safety. You see the figures of the clergyman, and perhaps even one of those women from earlier. They are all scuttling, clambering to get out of the castle.
They're still alive, I remark under my breath, looking back, but then not having time to look back anymore, I run.
As you start running, Roman, you'll notice behind you wights and skeletons. These creatures do not care about such things. They are starting to charge after you. Some of them fall into the crevice, some of them are taken out with rocks, but they are coming. What do you do to see all these undead things coming after you? Most of them are kind of falling into things, but yeah, what do you do?
But we cannot risk them catching up with us. I hold up the holy symbol of Ravenkind and I expand. I hold up the holy symbol of Ravenkind and I expend its last 3 charges, doing a turn undead with disadvantage. I will destroy them all. None of them will leave this place.
Indeed, and you hold your icon high and turn back these dead. The closest skeletons disintegrate instantly. The whites simply retreat a little, but it doesn't matter because, well, they're falling into holes. A large chandelier comes down and crushes one of them. You keep running, I assume.
Yes, it's time to go, I say after that, and I clutch the symbol hard, thanking it for all the help that it has given so far.
Yes, and you start running towards the entranceway, and you pass out. And just before you pass out, Esmeralda kind of bursts ahead, and she remarks, "I can see the drawbridge up ahead. We are going to make it. Keep running."
And I say nothing, but I run.
Yes, I do as she says.
And just as she turns to say this to you and then moves ahead, you, Roshek, see a blade dart out from the left, cleaving straight into her. And again, with another swing, the blade comes round. She is forced to the ground, blood spilling from her throat. And Rahadin stands before you, half-crazed looking, bleeding heavily from the head. You, dogs, will not leave this place alive.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we play the campaign Curse of Strahd for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Curse of Strahd was designed by Christopher Perkins and based on the adventure Ravenloft, written by Tracy and Laura Hickman in 1983. Dungeons & Dragons is published by Wizards of the Coast. The music is created by Metatron Omega, Flowers for Body Snatchers and Word Clock, and is used with permission from their label Cryochamber. Visit cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for more tasty dark ambient. A new episode of Red Moon Roleplaying is released every Friday. Please like our Facebook page and give us feedback, comments and input there. You can also visit us at redmoonroleplaying.com. Finally, a huge thank you to our growing base of supporters. You are truly amazing and inspire us so much to keep going with the show. If you haven't yet found us on Patreon, please have a look at the links in the description and see if you want to show your appreciation and encourage our work with the show there. While the show will always be free of charge to our listeners, Patreon supporters have access to extra material such as our bonus Q&A podcast Ask for the Moon, where we discuss all topics and questions our Patreons have for us. You can even get access to the full-length, raw and unedited versions of our gaming sessions way before they are released as finished episodes. Thank you for listening. Looking forward to meeting again next week.